everyone, welcome back to the Reptile Room. It is another video in our countdown to video 100 here on the channel, and today we are going to talk about the most used equipment that I use here in the Reptile Room. I just wanted to jump in here real quick, and thanks for subscribing. The watch times have been going up, super cool. I really appreciate it. If you're new here, consider subscribing. We're on the road to 100 videos here. I have a bunch of videos you can go back and check out. The room has changed so much. Stay tuned for that, the 100th video. It's gonna be just, it's gonna blow your mind, I promise you. Yeah, so thank you. Please consider subscribing, like, comment, all those things. Consider becoming a patron. Awesome, let's jump into the main part of the video. All right, guys, I know that there's a lot of equipment out there that everybody uses, but here are the pieces of equipment that I use the most here in the room, and we're gonna start off with temperature control. And here are some thermometers and combo units with hydrometers and laser, so you can test your own, you know, like right now, these are what you see, right? So that's your temperatures and whatnot, but these are pretty much what I use for general use. Looking around right now, because I don't have any currently set up, just because I run them so long that once the battery dies, I typically take them off for a little bit, but should really get out of that habit. That way you always have, you know, a way to walk in the room and just see right on the outside of the enclosure what temperature, what humidity, all that. But I'm going to show you here in a second some equipment that I have that just kind of gives me a better overview. Now this, everybody should have one of these, an infrared laser thermometer. And like I said, you just pull this little trigger here and you can check the temperature, you know, on a hot spot, whatever you point it at, get temperature. You can set it to Celsius and Fahrenheit. You know, Fahrenheit for only the US and like one other country, but you know, Celsius for everyone else. So I love this thing. Harbor Freight, like $12. Get one of those, fine. We're really looking for more ballparks because the thermostats are gonna give like a gradient anyway. So we're not ever going to get perfect, and that close enough, plus or minus a degree for me is fine for most of these. These pieces here are pretty inexpensive. I think actually this one is a Uvb or a knockoff of that. Great, they use AAAs, you know, whatever, throw them away when they die. I have had one outside of my pond for this whole season and it still works. So they aren't outdoor rated, however, I've run mine outdoors and it's fine. So let's move on to another piece of super handy equipment that I use all the time in the Reptile Room. Okay, so the second most used thing, I guess, these are in no particular order, by the way. So the thermostats and whatnot, let's get in here on this controller. So if you guys remember, I've done a video on my Inkbird controllers. This one is a dual controller. So you see here, we have temperature and humidity, and that is low, you know, work 1, work 2. You see it just kicked, and we have active light for work 1 and an active light for work 2. And when the heat one is on, oh, I haven't even peeled this. Okay, I hope that was as satisfying for somebody as it was for me out there. Okay, so anyway, back into it. This is easy to set. You have so many parameters in here. You'll have to go check out that other video I have. Yeah, it'll be linked in the description below. So those are, you see I have two separate probes. One is temperature, one is hydrometer. So we have the temperature, which you can see right there, the probe that is taped right next to the basilisk. You can see the wire that goes up, and yeah, so that's how it controls the temperature, and that heats up the hot spot there, which is a ceramic heat emitter. I have more spot lamps. We'll get into lighting here in a second, but for now, these are what's going to control most of everything in my room. So let's go look at one of the other ones here. Now, the other one is a full wireless one, and I think it's really cool. It's got to be one of my favorite ones over here right now. It's right up here. So right here is the control for Ronnie's enclosure, but this one is a Wi-Fi, and it is only temperature. And now his cable, his sensor goes up here next to some lighting, and it gets taped to this rock. And there's the Ronnie right there. So it is measuring the rock temperature. Now that turns on this dome fixture here, which is another ceramic heat emitter. And the benefit of this one is that on a device, if you're using it, you can track your temperature and have it set alarms. That's why I use these, and you should always use thermostats. So I actually have 3 regular Inkbird thermostats on this stack here. I have another one on this enclosure down here, and I think that's pretty much it for all the enclosures that I have them in. But that is my most used. I pretty much strictly use Inkbird, and it's just because their price point is bang on. All of their key benefits and everything that they use, they're fantastic. They're you can hear them click. They're solid relays. I've never used the Herpstats, but I'm sure they do great. Their price point is, you could buy, these are the most expensive one that I have purchased, and for one Herpstat 2, you could buy 2 of these, almost 3 actually. So we're gonna move on from there though, so check out the other video on the Inkbird stuff. It's really cool, it goes into a lot. So we're gonna go and move on to lighting and lighting controllers. Now, it's all about the controllers in this room because I'm not trying to come in here every day, kick them on and off, and I know you guys aren't trying to do that. I use a whole bunch of these timers right here, and I want to actually swap over to the plug. I want to use a smart plug. So I just haven't gotten there yet because these don't die ever. I'm pretty sure when I started in the reptile hobby, I got a few of these, and this might even be one of them, to be honest. So this is a single outlet. It's just a dual prong. It's really only for like your UV lighting and your heat domes and whatnot. But instead of running heat off these, which I've done in the past, I run all of my Uvb lighting, which you see right here, this strip. And then I also have some over here in Ronnie's enclosure, this whole strip that goes across his giant basking area. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the light fixtures for a hot second here. Now, lighting is quite important for your animals, like the basilisks here. Let me just move over. Sorry, a little more vlog style, but so these basilisks here get really super active when they are basking and whatnot. I'm really happy to see her up here right now. So the UV really helps to promote the, what was it, vitamin D? Yeah, I think it's vitamin D. And that's also what you use like the calcium supplement for if you don't have, you know, UV lighting. Now, there are a couple animals I don't run UV lighting on, so don't hate on me too much for it, but they are nocturnal, and I don't really see them out during the day, so I haven't really seen a benefit even when I ran them on there for testing. So maybe down the road when UV lighting comes down in price a little bit, it'll be a little bit better. But right now, these 4-foot fixtures, for one, I think was like 60 bucks, 45 to 60 bucks. So maybe when the UV lighting comes down a little bit more in price, I'll throw some on. But I have a couple of really small fixtures that I've actually put on another enclosure that I'm trying to save for a later date. So lighting and lighting control, very big. You know what? It actually runs 24 hours a day. Right? The timer runs 24 hours, and then the lighting is either on an 8-hour or a 10-hour or 12-hour schedule, depending on what I've got going on. So the same thing for the heat controllers. Those are on 24 hours a day. I use these all. This has been a year, almost a year since I did the video and plugged this in, and it has never been off. Works all the time. Never had an issue. I actually had the controller in here go into alarm mode, and I was super happy to have alarm mode. You know, alarm mode is really, you don't think about it being great until, you know, a power outage happens or your ceramic heat emitter suddenly dies, which is what I found out. So let's dive into the next most used piece or pieces of equipment. Let's go ahead and talk tongs. And I have, you see here, I have a couple of different lengths of the squeezy boys. And then I have one of the more hemostat style. It's not locking, but once you put it together, I use it to hold rodents and whatnot. This is a little bit heavier duty for me. These I'm still getting used to be fair, but these, if you can't reach into the back of the enclosure, you can use that and just get a little bit of additional reach like I do in here. So when I do another round of these enclosures, I'm gonna shrink them a little bit just so that I can reach all the way into the back. However, these are fantastic for feeding, picking out feeders, dealing with the roaches when you don't want to touch them like I do most of the time. These guys are great for feeding the snakes, just to keep your hands out of harm's way. I was using one of these, and Luna at the time, our other ball python from the past, she actually missed the rodent from here and tagged me in the hand. So sometimes tongs longer, just get longer ones. They aren't that expensive. Get nice ones. I might try to do some training like Brian Barczyk, but use red, since these are red on the end. Maybe I can use a red ball and get some training done with the basilisks maybe. So these are also very, very useful. And I'm gonna go ahead and dive straight into the next most used piece of equipment here right away. And that is really gonna be tubs. Now these were $2 at Home Depot, or you can even get some at Dollar General. I use these for our hatchling leopard geckos. I'll use them for our hatchling ball pythons, and I'll also use them just for additional storage of like food supplies and whatnot. My feeder supply is a little bit low, but I do have 5 bins dedicated to that, and that really cost $10, so that was easy peasy. I just keep a whole bunch cleaned, ready to go, stored up here. I have a bunch of lids just in case I need to put Hatchright in them, and yeah. All right, well, let me think here for a hot second about what my next most used piece of equipment. Oh, I know what that's gonna be. Easy peasy. Yeah, just 1 second. This is an easy one. I really just did this video, and it's gonna be the air pump up here. So the air pump runs 24 hours a day, and it's driving air into you see I just did this one. You see the air down there? We have air, we have air in here. I need to turn it up. We have air in here. We have air in here. Oh, can't show you that one. I have air in here, but he keeps knocking it out. So I have to get some more stainless weights, like I was saying, just to keep them in. So that runs 24 hours a day. That thing is probably gotta be the most used piece of equipment. I mean, the controllers and that really are kind of up there at the same time. So after that, I've got a couple of fans, and the same thing, it's just to keep air movement. I also have, well, really that's it for the equipment, to be honest. I guess the other clear piece of equipment would be all the enclosures. These are things that you might not take into consideration, right, when you're thinking about getting the animal. How much the enclosure is going to cost into that. So really, I have these custom made, and I am super happy with how they work. All their bells and whistles that I decided to add after I designed these and had them built for myself, just to test them out. It's been, over a year. They're solid. I want more. And invest in your setup, right? Invest in that infrastructure equipment. The infrastructure equipment, if you buy the right stuff, will last most of your, reptile keeping hobby or career. Most of these controllers can control way more than what I'm doing. I'm breaking this down into every single enclosure is controlled separately. And when it comes to lighting, I do a little bit of fun with it, where I try to add them in over the course of like 5 minutes, so that it's like a sunrise in here almost. But it's harsh lighting when they just kick on, and it is what it is. So really, invest in your lighting, invest in your controllers, invest in your heat. Yeah, I didn't really talk about the heat mats and whatnot. use whatever heat mat you're comfortable with. Most of the stuff I'm using, you are not going to be using unless you're going big like we are here, but you know, your heat mats, your ceramic heat emitters, I use those all the time. You know, they do great. You know, live plants also, sure, you could add those in the list, but that's pretty far down. But really invest in your equipment. The animal probably won't be the most expensive thing. I know in fish equipment, you spend thousands and thousands of dollars before, and then you can add, you know, tetras, right? It's just funny how that works. You know, the basilisks are kind of the same way. I think of the basilisk enclosure as more of a fish tank because they're more of a display animal. You know, with fish, you're not trying to, you know, pet them, play with them, and take them out and have them watch TV with you. And really, we don't do that with the basilisks either because they're very, very fast, and I'm not trying to have those run around the house, right? So it's a fish tank, and the lizards aren't the most expensive part of it at all. You know, I do have a couple other pieces of equipment. You know, you've got your misters. Well, actually, this gets used all the time. This is a mister. It's a pump, 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 pump. I just sprayed, yep. Ah, you just saw that. I don't know where it's all over my enclosures over here. But this thing, daily use, daily use. Adjustable nozzle, pressure. That way you're not just, talk about giving yourself carpal tunnel. Man, that would do it. So this thing, I think this is like $12. Just get one. Who cares? Spend 20 bucks. Even I might even get one of the bigger ones that you use for chemical spray applications and just only use it for water. I do have some hand sprayers and we do have vet cleaning and whatnot, but that isn't what we're talking about here. We're just talking about mostly infrastructure, right? You have your daily needs stuff, but it is your lighting and your controllers for said lighting and heat. Controllers for heat. You have your tongs, things to keep your hands from leaking, getting bitten, bleeding, leaking all over the place. Yeah, and the bins just for extra use. You never know if you're gonna have to pull an animal out of an enclosure and do, you know, something just to make it work. Clean it up real quick. I have other snap enclosures. You know, you can find some bargain stuff, but really invest where it counts. And that's really what I want to preach to you guys. It really makes a difference. It makes such a big difference. Most of my older Inkbird controllers I've had for 6-7 years now, and they've realistically, they have run 24 hours a day for that 6 to 7 years. I can't recommend anything else, to be fair. Inkbird, I hope you hear this. You've sponsored a video before. Maybe we can do something else, but yeah, the Inkbird controllers, 100%, rock solid. So definitely look into those, especially for, you know, budget friendly. Again, links will be in the description for a lot of these things, at least most of them, like the UV light. You know, I'll probably leave that up to you to find because there are so many. You can go mercury vapor, you can go with those. It really depends on what you're gearing up for and what kind of animal you're gonna have. You know, more deserty, large animals, I would probably lean more towards the mercury vapor bulbs for your UV and your heat, because that's what you'll get out of it, and you also need a large enclosure for that. I could probably try those out with Ronnie at some point. Maybe I will down the road swap that out and just throw one of those in and see what happens. Same thing with the basilisks, but really guys, it's all about your lighting, whatever you want to control with. You know, they make fantastic lights that are Bluetooth, that connect to your phone, and, you know, that are Wi-Fi, connect through Wi-Fi to your phone or computer or a tablet. Really, the sky's the limit for, you know, you can do a smart home. Why can't you set up your own smart reptile room? And that's really where we are heading here in the reptile room. And I hope this was informative. I hope you guys like what we're doing here. Again, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. Comment what equipment you guys use down below. Maybe you guys have some more suggestions for other people. You know, follow me on Instagram. Consider becoming a patron. We're doing the monthly giveaway for all patrons. It's randomly selected. Not everybody every month gets something, but just one person we randomly draw a month. So consider become a patron. It'll be a fun time. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. get your equipment in line, get your stuff sorted out. I hope this helped you narrow it down. And we're on the way to countdown to the 100th video. Stay tuned. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.